Okay, I hit continue.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay. So hello.
So hello, Heather. Yeah.
To start off with, would you like to say your name and where you are?
My name is Gabriele Eibner, and I'm in my office in Paris, waiting for not for my sister, but my daughter to come later in the evening.
Okay. So the first question for you is, who are you as a human being? And that can be your passions, qualities about yourself, any major values that you hold, or whatever
Mm.
you'd like to share.
Mm-hmm. Well, who am I? I guess I'm a woman at first. Um, I am. Now, let me see. I think I'm a kind person. I'm a passionate person. I'm a curious person. I'm very curious about others and yeah, how do people interact? How do I interact with other people? I'm very concerned about that. I am very moved when it comes to the women issue or the children issue. Um, I am. I think I'm a generous person. I'm a loving person. Not only the ones who are close, but I have. I really feel connected to a broader scope, to the common good, the world, something like that. I don't think I really have roots in a geographical point of view. I grew up in Egypt until the 7 Day or 6 Day War, way back in the 60s. I came back to Germany with my family and went off for Libya for another year, and then back to Germany, and then some years later I left for Paris. So I'm kind of always running around and uh, looking for something. I'm not sure, but what is sure is that it has to go on and further on all the time. I'm not uh, stuck, or I'm not, is it interested? I know what I have experienced in my past, but I would not want to go back to these experiences. There's no nostalgia. It's really either in the present or in the future where I stand from. So yeah,
Hmm.
my
So not
passion.
not rooted, but what were you going to say about your
Well,
passions?
I'm not rooted in a place. I'm rooted maybe in myself. Even though this is kind of not always very comfortable to just be rooted in oneself. Uh, but that's just the way it is. That's what I figured out. So yeah, not many attaches, to places, but I do find it's not comfort. I do find uh, excitement when I smell something very specifically. When I hear the birds in the morning at 5 or 6 starting to sing, that is something really gets me moving. That's what it touches me. Mm.
Hmm. Were you going to say something about a particular passion?
Well, I was thinking about that, and actually, I'm not sure if I have a real passion. The only passion I would name is the others. How human beings uh, get together, work it out, get in conflict and get in peace, and then find out about the invisible. And it's always been that way. I started psychology, or my interest in psychology started when I was 15 years old, because I didn't know how this all was working, so there was quite a lack of how do you say that, mode d'emploi, parents usually tell you how things work, and I kind of lacked this. My mother didn't really tell me, and she was in her way of looking at the world. My father as well. They didn't get along very well, so I kind of stood back and started searching myself. And that's when that's when it all started, actually. And it never left me. This is really, really very, very interesting. My passion would be that, yeah.
So what comes to mind out of all of your life experiences as a particular event or a set of circumstances that you would say really influenced you or shaped you?
I don't know if there is a particular event. It's always this going further and further and further and further. And once I understand something, it has been during my working life in enterprises, organization. It's been the same thing. I didn't go to university. I don't have any certification besides the Gestalt therapy, which I started at, I don't know, 50, 55, Yeah. You have somebody calling you? No. So it's not really the birth of my daughter. That was quite something. Yeah. This is no, I've been looking. I've been wondering, what is this all about? Love, what does that mean? That's a very important question, and I kind of never got the answer until the birth of my daughter. Really, the moment she left my body, I was kind of scared shitless. I said, "Oh my God, I am responsible." And it's just half of a second, and then something else came in, and that was so great, and it never left me. So this is really one of the most important discoveries I made in my life. Feeling what it means, love. Yeah. Mm.
And you're wearing your heart right there.
It's a big one. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just fighting with my dogs if you see my voice going. But so sorry. Sorry. So you mentioned before that one of the sort of themes that you orient around are women's issues and also children's issues, and now you're mentioning motherhood. But I'm wondering how you understand and experience yourself as a woman or within your gender.
I'm very happy to be. I'm very happy to be a woman. I'm very satisfied to be a woman. I'm very proud of being a woman. I feel myself as a woman with all the different aspects, woman mother, woman businesswoman, all of it is fine with me, and I feel very comfortable in that role. What is sad for me is the never-ending aggressions we as a whole experience, probably every day when we when we go out from our homes, and it's either it may be aggressiveness from other women, it may be aggressiveness from other men, and it's also this how would I say, uh, socially accepted way of treating women. And when you say, in 2006, I started an organization to promote feminine values in the business place, at the workplace. So I went out there and made conferences and told people what I understood by feminine values, which is being related to nature, being related to, being able to do 5 things at a time, having developed real awareness. Also, when you have a child, you're always the antennas go out everywhere. So when it comes to danger, where is the danger coming from? So, it's very subtle. And I trust that men could develop these qualities or values as well. Well, anyway, I'm not going to get into the explanation. It would take too long. But I thought it was quite a good idea going out to the companies and saying to the ladies, we're different. You know that. So why don't we take this difference into our workplace? You should be proud of it. You should use it. You should not just put it away and do as the men do. A masculine word, you copy and adapt and you suffer, and that's not the point. And you could do much better being in staying in your comfort zone and developing this comfort zone and putting it to the benefit of a business project. Why not? Or even in internal relationships with men and so forth. And actually, what I noticed at the time, that was back in 2006, women didn't like my speech. They said, she's going to get us back to the oven in the kitchen with the children, and that was absolutely not my purpose. It was interesting to see that men were very interested by the topic, and they really went into that because they had trouble with the women being, sometimes, not always, of course, being more masculine than the men, being really aggressive and pulling it over and exaggerating certain behaviors. Yeah. So I was very into that, and I was very sad that I didn't find sufficient support to continue. And then there came in 2008 was the financial crisis and so forth. But I did manage to implement a training session on feminine values at Nestle Waters, which I was quite proud of, and yeah, it could have given something very interesting. But then again, I'm not a businesswoman, business oriented, and I should have seeked for support from influent people, which was not my topic at the time neither. But then I understood also that we as a women, we might want to look at who we are, what is important to us, what do we have inside? Are we ready to appear, step out in the light and say, hi, this is me. And you see, before this interview, I was kind of, wow, am I really going to do this? Am I really going to talk to Heather? Do I really want to step out in the light?
Apparently,
Because
yes.
it is. yeah, and then there is I need to push myself to do it. So there is something, even though I think I'm doing, it's easy to talk to you, and there's no danger, no nothing, but there's still this little moment when I have to appear,
Mhm.
go out and be, and yeah, and that seems to
The
be very,
exposure
very
and being
uh,
seen. Mhm.
exactly.
Hmm.
And this as well, we're not as now this concerns only my view. I don't want to be too general or generally speaking, and but of what I have experienced and what I still experience is that women in my environment, they still have a lot of problems of stepping out. Are you still there? Yeah, good.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm
So
still here.
yeah,
The connection is being a little bit, but
yeah. Well,
so
okay. Yeah.
I'm on a very interesting proposal that you developed. I'm wondering about parts of yourself as well.
Could you just repeat that?
Um, for example, age. How are you with your age right now and the aging process?
Haha. That's a good question. Um, Actually, I'm fine with it. I'm 60, so I understand. Maybe I could say that I really started tasting and getting the good out of life when at 45, and ever since it's been like that. It's been going up. 50 was great. Uh, and I had these girlfriends or my friends who said, oh yeah, 60 is going to be tough. And actually it's not as tough as I thought it would. Yes, of course, your skin is going, it's kind of growing old, yes. But in terms of presence, in terms of experimenting my life, I think it's more and more intense. It's more and more curious. I do think about, well, the COVID obviously pushed me as well to think about death. What does that mean? What does it mean for me, especially? And I'm not sure that this is a bad thing. It's not scaring me. Um, of course, as most of the people, I do not want to suffer, but going away, going to another dimension, as we don't know what is happening afterwards. So this might be another experience, which might be quite interesting. So, and and it also gets me to think of what do I leave behind. What I leave behind is my daughter. So I'm concerned about transmitting and transmitting, yeah, mainly, and I'd like her to be on the path. Of course, she is on her path, and she's very well on her path. And as every human being, she has to go through and certain difficulties and which concern her. But then again, it's also a um, uh, going along together for some time and then splitting up and still keeping the relationship and it's not the link but the connection, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it
Mm.
sounds interesting that you don't seem too attached to this place or this state either. You're like, oh,
No,
look, there could be something next. That sounds interesting.
yeah, of course there's always something. Well, you see, Maybe it's because I've been traveling a lot, living in very different places, and I couldn't get my attachments in the places or with the people. I don't have what you call a very good or the best friend of my youth. I don't know that. I'm once in a while I'm kind of jealous, when people start talk about this. I don't know what that means. Um, so I kind of had to construct another way of being with this topic, and as I
Mhm,
didn't have anything physical, I had myself. So
mhm.
huh,
I know.
so I wanted.
I identify with that not rooted sort of
Mm,
different
mm,
attachment style.
yeah.
So I am wondering though, I mean, especially with these different perspectives that you've
Mm.
had, how do you understand and experience power and privilege in your life?
Power and privilege. Hmm. Uh, I have been in a powerful position, socially speaking, and I thought this was it did put me in danger because it is power is something very mm, exciting, really, really exciting, and it makes you move on, and you don't sleep, and you go for more, and you go for more until you fall down, and then you wake up and you say, okay, let's let's go see where it is. um, so uh, and in French you have two words for it. It's power, pouvoir et puissance. In English, that would be power, which would be related to uh, business power, money power, political power, this kind of stuff. And the other one would be being strong, feeling strong. And that comes again with the appear, and my power. I'm a powerful woman. I do have a lot of it. I have a lot of strength in power, strength way, meaning. Huh? Um, I discover this as as I go along, and I see how other um, how others react to this power. It sometimes um, scares me a little because it frightens people. So I kind of, keep it back, or keep it low. But actually, the more I go, the more this comes out as well, and the more there's people who will uh, join me or be with me, and others who cannot. So that was one question. Did that answer? Is that clear to you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I like the two senses of it. And what
Mm.
about privilege?
What do you understand by privilege? In the French way, privilege is when you're better allotted than other people. Is that in this way? Mm.
It's sort of an advantageous position that you really didn't do anything yourself to hold.
Hmm. Well, I would say that my state of being a woman is a privileged situation, or a privileged state, um, and I like it. And it's as well. It gives power, uh, in the sense of strength, right? Um, endurance, courage, and all these kind of little, it's not little, it's actually very important aspects of our values coming with it, with this privilege. I have I've probably tried in the past to be in a privileged situation because oh yes, because when I was 23, I worked with Harald Seemann, who was the curator of the modern art museum in Zurich at the time. So that made me kind of feel privileged, But in the end, it doesn't. It's just outside. It doesn't mean, and it doesn't get me, or it did not get me anywhere. So other people are more, they can exploit these kind of situation. I didn't. It just didn't interest me. I was interested in how why boys would produce a piece of art, or the artist I met in at that time. That was really passionate. But being privileged because I went out with his son, and I lived with his son for a couple of years, and that gave me that privilege. But other than that,
yeah, I mean, it can be racial, gender, socioeconomic.
it is I don't like the word privilege for it, but in the end, I guess it is. Being a blue-eyed German, blonde and blue-eyed German in France is a real privilege, because I have this stamp, of whatever they put in the word German, or German, yeah. So it did help me, and it opened doors, and it still does. So I'm, but it's kind of, yeah, it's fake, and it's not real. It is real. It's it's got this taste of how do you say that, of not playing fair. It's I didn't do anything to be the German blonde and blue eyed.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it is. But yes, it is a privilege.
Okay, so other people in your life. So who would you say has been a significant influence on you? And this can be from any aspect of your life.
Really significant. Well, significant is Zige Jung. He definitely influenced my way, or my path. And then it's like when you meet people wherever you are, and everybody you grow with in connection with people. So I haven't met Jung, obviously, but what he said really influenced and formed me as well, and gave me the basics. Huh? Sorry.
Some people have their theorists, and so there is a way of being touched.
Well, my daughter touched me, or it still does. Claudia Gollet touches me very much. Martine Piriou touches me as well. These are Gestalt therapists. And in the past, I don't know. It hasn't been really men who touched me for a short moment. I learned a lot in the connection with my partners, about myself, about social psychology, about behavior, about role models, about, these aspects, about obviously being a woman, being a person, being a human being, trying to be equal. There's no way for the moment I haven't met. So yeah, I guess in some way my parents did. In some way my parents did. Yeah, of course. I wouldn't have any like a Vandana, whatever her name is. She's an Indian activist to protect original seeds in India and protect people and folks in India. I find this very interested. It's more than interested. I find the Zapatistes, the energy, the Zapatist women who are moving around the world at the moment, that is formidable. It's very exciting, and it kind of gives me how do you say that? Comforts me in my being a woman as well. And we're again in the subject of doing something for the greater good, getting involved in climate change, getting involved or being at least concerned and about what is going on, supporting people who go in this direction and do awake or do get consciousness. At least for me, I get more and more conscious about how to act, if I can act, what I can act, and then also get out of my habits and my comfort zone. Don't stay under the shower for 15 minutes, but make it short, stuff like that. It's small, but it's important because it's and then again afterwards it's a snowball system. One does something and the other says, oh, fine, I like that. Oh, I'll take it over and I'll give it away to somebody else. Yeah.
So I'm a little bit concerned about our internet connection.
Yeah.
It seems to be a bit unstable.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask you one more question, and then can I suggest that we maybe I'll cut this little conversation bit out. Would we meet again to do the second half? I would like to just ask you how you came into Gestalt, because this is the human, and we're about to come into the Gestalt piece, but I'm seeing less and less of you, and you break up, and I don't want to miss the conversation. But can I just ask how you found it or how it found you? If you're there, I think
how we found each other. Very, very interesting. And it's a very nice, I love this. I love this. The day I got married in 9 years ago, I could not touch my husband anymore. It was just not possible. And so I said, wow, there's something very, very heavy going on. And I've been working in Jung analysis for about 12 years. So, intellectually, and it brought me to some place, but it didn't get inside my emotional being, in my body, in all these aspects. Mm-hmm. So I started looking for something, for a method, for a way of getting into emotion. Mm-hmm. And I met a former colleague who 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 did the training for, or he became a Gestalt therapist. And so he told me about that, and he said, wow, this is German, you didn't know that? And I said, no. And then I got involved in it. I started Gestalt therapy for 3 years, and I've never experienced such a transformation in such a short time. And it's like my life just turned upside down, you know. And I there was this big door opening towards this emotional part. And since 1 year, I'm working. I'm doing training with Claudia Gollet about the body, body and Gestalt. You know, Roel Lafranc and James Kepner, and this is so powerful. Wow, it's just, you know, it cuts words. I don't have the words for it. It's really extraordinary. So yeah, it's thanks to my husband I got into Gestalt therapy, you know?
It sounds like it's thanks to Gestalt that you got into your husband as well.
Yeah, that's how I got in. And then, you know,
Interesting.
once you put your step in, you don't want to go out. And then actually for the time of my therapy, these 3 years, I was still working in a company. And then I got more and more unsatisfied with my daily life, working woman and all this. And I figured that I would not be able to take this for even 6 months longer. And I decided to start the training of Gestalt therapy. In the first place, just to do what I always wanted to do, you know, get into psychology. Yeah. And once I was in, it became obvious that this was my path. So ever since, I don't know, 2014, I'm with the Gestalt, and I don't see when this will end. And actually, I'm a very young Gestalt. I'm not even a therapist yet, you know. But I may practice. I have my clients, and this is. I have to look up the vocabulary, some vocabulary to express what I feel about this. You know, it's so exciting, it's so satisfactory. There's so much gratitude, and to see people move on and open up. And this is wonderful. This is really wonderful. Okay, there we go.
Off we go again. So where we had left this, I was actually about to ask you how you and Gestalt start coming together. So how did you find Gestalt, and what did that do to you?
I think I told you that I met Gestalt thanks to my husband.
Mm-hmm.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
There was this very odd moment the day after my marriage, and I needed to find something to work on my emotions, and this is how I got to Gestalt. That's how we found each other, and I never left it. So I first worked about 3 years with a Gestaltist, and at that time, I didn't really know how it worked, but it did work. And I made such progress for my personal development and my personal consciousness and my personal growing that, yeah, it was wonderful. It was very astonishing. It I think I said it turned my life upside down, and I really
Yes.
took a new direction.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know if I interviewed, humans of cognitive behavioral therapy, how many people would say that their lives were changed so drastically that they then became therapists after having been
Mm,
clients.
mhm.
But that seems to happen here. We get like fans, people get really into it and then they just stay. Um, but, I wonder, what did you find when you then became more of a student? Was there a particular, or maybe it didn't change, is there something that you understood differently? Is there a concept? Is there?
I'm not sure. Well, there are lots of concepts in Gestalt therapy.
But
Now,
that really stood
what
out to you, or changed you, that made
what
you love it more as a student
mm,
or a practitioner than as a
yeah,
client.
it's the part of the experiencing.
Hmm.
And I have, I'm what you call a self-made woman. I never made any. I didn't go to university. I didn't do any studies so far, and I always learned by doing. Whatever job I had, whatever it was, I just learned by doing it. And even languages. When I came to France, I said bonjour, bonsoir, and I was in '83. And 3 months later, I spoke uh, not fluently, but I did make myself understand, and I did understand the others. So that is experience as well. And nowadays, I couldn't explain a grammatical rule in any of the languages I speak, but I know that's the right way to do it.
Mm.
It's just intuitive. It's just inside. So I discovered this, or this matched with my manner of living, with my way of living, with my how I how I got to things, and how I understand them, and even still now I need to understand deeply. I can't just understand it with by my neurons, my head. There's
Mhm.
no way of keeping it. I need to experience it to know what I'm talking about. And I like this.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah. And that is really the major uh, the major thing I got out of Gestalt for myself.
The experience.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
Making it happen, it kind of turns lively.
Mhm. Absolutely. So, would you say that you've become part of a Gestalt community since you found this and got involved in this? Does that mean anything to you?
Um, I like to think that others, my colleagues, they they were in a we have a basis of being towards the world or being towards the others. I'm not sure that I am into a community. I am engaged or I'm committed to an association of the Gestalt therapists in France, but I don't see my colleagues outside to talk about how we work together, unless in supervision, and that is very precious to get other point of views, other experiences, get insights, and go on learning in this way. Yeah, and my Gestalt is in some way it is a solitary working, right? I mean, you're by yourself, and the thing is that the point is that the more I work, the more I get to know myself as well, and the more there is the inside coming out, if I may say so. And So again, it's a personal experience with others, and it is doing with others, but not necessarily with my Gestalt therapists, unless I meet them in training sessions, and that is something different, which is fine, and I like it.
So there's some sharing, but there's not quite confluence.
Right.
That's
Right.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So during your time with Gestalt, what would you say have been some of the most significant challenges that you've run into? And this can be personally, clinically.
Well, in the beginning, I'm a young Gestaltist. So in the beginning, it is actually becoming conscious about uh, um, how this all works without implicating too much my mind. It's just letting go and letting come. And these are postures, or these are, I am like, I'm like an adventurer, or I feel like a treasure hunter, It's always going on and on and on. It never stops. And it all is very surprising. On a very personal experience, well, I can see my evolution, and it's not something, this happened this day. No, it's very slowly, but it's constructive, and it's solid, and it is also a place where I feel secure, where I feel it's not secure. It's not being lonely, And this is I did 12 years of Jung analysis, and compared to what I remember of this time with what I experienced in Gestalt, is that I've never been lonely with Gestalt, whereas in analysis I have faced quite some some situations where I would have needed, the helping hand to get me out of the solitude.
That's interesting. So what would you say have been some of the more satisfying parts of all of this for you?
The more satisfying, well,
I mean, has there been a particular project, a particular client? I mean, you say it's not like a before and after, but have there been any of those moments that have sort of been those satoris or those peaks?
Well, yes, again, when I observe the going on, the development, the way of that one or two clients show for so far, of the change, and it's subtle, but they feel it and they're happy with it, and they are different in the session, and they may react, and they, when you just understand something, when you have this moment of, wow, this is it, and you can stay with it, and you can take it along, and you can put it inside, and it changed something, Yeah, that's a very, very, very good moment. Very good moment. I know it's would thrilling be the right word? You know,
Mhm,
it really is. It really is. It's not that I did something for it, but
mhm,
it just so happened together,
mhm.
and this just so happening together is very exciting and very satisfactory.
And so, what would you say is the essence of the work that you do? And I mean, that can be thematically, if you work in particular areas, or is there a way that describes what you do and how you do it? Essentially.
Oh,
I said to someone the other day, this is like the 5-year-old question. It's like, what do you do?
what do I do? Well, I'm I'm curious about what is happening, and this is what I get back from people who come and see me is that they feel safe, that they feel heard, understood, that they feel um, they feel like this when they come and see me. So it must be a safe place for them, and that is. I like the idea of being somebody who can be safe or who can give security, or a space, for this where you uh, imagine, or where you can get out um, issues you would not talk to other people. Um, Giving confidence, or being in a place where others receive confidence and they feel like that. That's that's a very good thing to, it's useful. I mean, I it's like I serve, my way of being is uh, is important to the others, so that is important to me as well, or it makes me feel good.
It's interesting because it sounds like it's co-created, right? I mean, I do this and the other person feels. I do that
Mm,
and then
mm, mm.
it's
And it's
interesting.
also, yeah, it's interesting, and well,
Because I ask, I mean, what do you do? But obviously, we don't do it by ourselves.
no, 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 but that is, I am very, very convinced that, I myself is, I couldn't do it by myself. And that
Mhm,
is what I appreciate so much with Gestalt, compared to what I've experienced before, is that I I have my part as a client and as a therapist. I have my part in
mhm,
the game, or in the part.
mhm,
It's not somebody telling me, oh yes, this dream was no 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 your father, and so on forth. And you're there and you say, oh, he must know. But that's, it doesn't get you anywhere, because there's no consistency. You
mhm,
take it, you just swallow it, and you say, he must be right. He's a
mm,
professional. And I don't I don't I like the idea of being partner with my client. I like the idea of taking the responsibility for myself,
mhm,
and see this grow within myself, uh, is again, the power in a strengthening way. It's
mhm,
not powerful power, but it's uh, it's very lively. You know, I feel
mhm,
I feel myself. It's not always, but
mhm,
they're getting to this um, getting to this perception, or this emotion of of everything in me is fine and everything in the other is fine, and there's no, okay, he does this, okay, that's fine. I would suggest that, or I might think that his relationship to this and this and this might play a role, and then just sharing it gets out something else, and it's not me, it's him and him or her and me doing together.
So I know we actually had a conversation before about some of the work that you are doing. And I'm curious, what is next for you? What are you developing? What are you interested in? And where do you think Gestalt in general is also going as we move forward?
Well, as we said, that is quite a topic, because for me in the beginning, I needed to act, to have it go out. Me, gestaltist, doing my job in my corner didn't make very much sense to me. I needed something else. I needed to tell people what I'm doing. And so I did this by myself in the first place. And then I realized that all this world of gestaltists in France, at least, um, um, seemed to be a little complex because of legal issues. In France, you cannot be a psychotherapist without having whatever degree from the state, from the government. So we're kind of outsiders unless you have studied psychology and you have your diploma as a you have your diploma, and then you add Gestalt to that, which makes you kind of legally existing.
Mm-hmm.
And of what I understand, we're still not really legally existing, and that the government is cutting down our domain of action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think it is important to still make know other people what we're doing. I think it's very important to stick to the very well, to stick to, if I say, the pure Gestalt, because Gestalt is moving as well. But Gestalt practiced by somebody who's in the business ever since 20 or 30 years is something very different from nowadays, right? I think I'm not quite sure, actually. The ways of when I look at Germany, for example, to get into a Gestalt training is quite difficult. It seems that you have to have done studies in psychosociology or psychology or whatever other medical domain. In France, this is not quite the case. I mean, I was in communication before, which has nothing to do with medical services, right? And I still had my training. So that is a questioning. I don't know where it will lead me to. I think that Gestaltists should be more solidary, solidaire.
Should have more solidarity. I don't.
Should have more solidarity.
Yeah, I don't have that word either. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Ah, that's good. I'm not all by myself.
No.
Yeah. And that gets you again to the community, being part of a community, not being part of a community. Is it important to be in, like you created an association, or the EAGT, which is the European umbrella?
Mhm.
Is it important to be there? I think it is. I cannot be there because I'm still not a final certified Gestalt therapist. But
It's interesting when you said that. I just thought, yes, there are a lot of undocumented Gestalt therapists.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. I mean, that whole dilemma that you're setting yourself up to explore is, it's about legitimacy and who is legitimized and recognized as being able to understand themselves and human processes. And it's incredible that is exclusive. It's like saying a farmer can't possibly understand the way a human being works.
Yeah. That is. But it opens all these questionings.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like people who I don't. It's difficult to answer this question, because there's so many parameters. I was going to say yes, but there are some newcomers and who integrate other disciplines within the Gestalt, whereas the Gestalt is already composed by different disciplines. So should it open up? Are we not going to lose a certain approach or quality on the way? So I have no idea. In any case, for me, it is important, to see that the collective, the Gestalt collective, goes further in somewhat getting together, accepting the difference, and taking care of what it is, Gestalt, because today I think this way in 1993 I was running a communication company, and at that time you still worked with what you call the graphic designers, real graphic designers. They made their studies. They knew how letters and sizes worked, and how you put something in a page, how you make it up. And then came internet. The computers came, and then everybody became a graphic designer. And it was such a loss of quality and research and real fundamental work, because the computer did it all. And it might not be really appropriate, but I think there is a question of keeping the level and the level high of what it is, and don't forget certain things because it's more comfortable, because I want to be, and
Yeah, when you said level, I thought depth, like the depth of the knowledge, not just
it's looking at exigence,
Mhm.
high level
the
of
expectations.
yeah.
Hmm.
And what it brings in the beginning.
Interesting.
It's like, the question for me ever since 1 year, since the COVID came on, was the question about how do you do Gestalt on Zoom? I don't know how that works, you know. I really don't know. I don't, you know, I see just the top of you. I don't see
Mhm.
your hands. I don't smell you. I see your face quite well. This is
Mhm.
okay. Zoom is not too bad, but in the end, there's something missing. And whenever I get, uh, um, whenever I meet now, because we all restricted um, uh, our meetings with others, right? It is something very, very different to have a person in front um, than over the internet.
Mm.
So Gestalt on internet, I don't know how this works. But some others, they say, oh, yeah, it does. It's different. It is different. That's right. Contacting is different, but still, for me, is something is lacking. It's not the three dimensions I like, or I'm comfortable with, or I'm confronted with as well. You know, I don't know what I have. I have this distance, um, which is uncomfortable for me. Mm.
And for me, it's kind of about the Gestalt theory of perception. You know, we take the two dots and we fill in the blanks.
Mm,
We make the
mm,
rest of it. I know you have a lower body there somewhere.
yeah.
So would you say that in what you've just described, that's both where you're going and what you are interested in, and where you think Gestalt is going? Or do you have any further thoughts about those new directions or changes that might be coming for the Gestalt world?
That is, again, this is kind of difficult to answer because I only see it from a French perspective, and I don't know. That's why I got in touch with you at the first. I wanted to know how many Gestaltists were in the world, because I have no idea, and I found out that in Mexico you're 8,000, in Russia you were 10,000. So there is something moving. India is very strong with it as well. Um, and France is quite low in terms of numbers, right? So then there is a cultural issue. I think a German Gestaltist might have another way of practicing than a French Gestaltist, you know, because for the simple reason it might be, I don't know. As I'm the two, this is what I'm going to talk about. There's the humanistic philosophy in Germany against the more Descartes, you know, the me, myself, and I. Very well, it's not me, myself, and I. It's humanity is not as important. Emotions are not as important here. It's like what I feel. Again, I underline this. This is my speech, um, and I might be wrong in that. But when you look at and that comes from my experience in at my workplace before, working with overseas, working with Germans is a pleasure because they're interested as well in the person we're dealing with. It's not just I want to sell this and this product. It's that's the cost I deliver at that point. No, I need to know, and this is what happens. I need to know where do you live? Are you happy? Are do you have children? Oh yeah, me too. You know, there's just another way of being with the other than in France. It's more. It's more abstract. Yeah.
Interesting. I
That's
don't think I've
interesting.
ever heard it described that way. So.
I've a couple years ago, when I was into feminine values in the business, I saw the study done by the London Psychology University, very interested about the impact or the space different cultures give to emotions at the workplace. Well, they all gave a certain figure on the positive side. So it did exist for the others. It did not exist for the French. It was a minus rate. And that really, wow, I was stunned with that, by that.
It's interesting.
Mm.
Okay, so I guess maybe it's sort of a field informed kind of practice. And yeah, I would agree that we can't generalize, Gestalt is a single
No,
thing,
right.
but
Yeah.
it's interesting. Very, very interesting. It's complex.
It's complex and it's also, what is so very, very interesting with Gestalt is that uh, everything is open. I mean, today I tell you this, tomorrow I might say something else, because there is a movement and there's evolution, and there is it's always in the move, right? And what for me in Gestalt is so important is that nothing is settled. It's kind of uncomfortable sometimes, I must say, nothing is stable. It's always moving, and you
What do you
always
mean
have.
there's always more? There's always more. Oh, there's more.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily more, but it's moving.
Mm.
It might even move to less, but
Yeah.
whatever less would be.
Mhm.
But I think this this dimension of the movement is very interesting, and so the limits are not really there. So I don't know where Gestalt is going towards. I know where I would like to go, or what I would like to see in Gestalt. And this is, of course, my perception and my ideology. I how do you say that in English?
Your ideology?
Yeah, thanks. On the best way I could think about it. And then there's the community. The community is very important to me, and that is again a difference between the two cultures I live with. On one hand, the community is important. On the other, it's not really that. So, the for me, the need to do it together is fundamental, especially now. So with what we're facing, or especially what our children will be facing in a couple of years. So there is a need of getting together and doing it together, getting to know each other, diversity, different cultures, different languages, different ways of living, the rich and the poor, the cats and the dogs, and it's there's this there's this necessity of finding other ways of being together. That is for sure, and that's why I think Gestalt is a major asset, as you as you say, for this, to implement this. Yeah.
So would you add anything else at this point? Any final thoughts about yourself, Gestalt, your relationship with it?
Right now, no, that's fine.
Okay.
How about how about talking in 1 year again, you know?
There we go. We'll do the second round this
Yeah,
time
we'll do the
next year.
second round in 1 or 2 years, no problem. That'd be interesting.
It would. Where are they now? We'll come back.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. This is a very different technological experience, seeing
Yeah,
you a little bit more clearly this time.
good.
But I appreciate all your time. So we'll leave
Well,
it here.
thank you. Yeah, we'll leave it here, and thank you for the invitation to do this.
Okay.